What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, and I'm here with
Gershwan.
Today we're back to answer your questions in another episode of For the Greater
WAAAGH. This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put question in front of your question because we'll get to those questions first. I was looking back because I was like, what is that over there? But that's like the rock cliff. I made some terrain. You guys are probably going to get a video of like how to build badass 40k terrain later. But yeah, it just looked weird in the thing. Yeah.
This is a really good question. I'm surprised it only has one thumbs up, but this one is by Nadosa. He or she or it or them or they or us asks, do you guys think that the Warhammer 40k tabletop is an accurate representation of Warhammer 40k's lore and warfare?
That's a tough one. This current edition, I think, is pretty well suited, with the exception of the Tyranids.
Why is that?
Because I think the Tyranids are way stronger than they actually are on the tabletop. But orcs are pretty badass, again, because of numbers.
So you're saying since this edition is more focused on bodies, yeah, it's more representative of the lore?
Yeah, that's how I feel. And then I feel like machines are easier to destroy.
Right, because back then they had armor values, and it's like even the little guys, couldn't do anything, but now they can.
Yeah, and then people who argue, then that means that a guardsman can take down a Titan. There's crazy stories in 40k where that happens.
Right.
WAAAGH drove his bike through the Titan and destroyed it, so like, it happens in the lore. I think the Space Marines, though, Space Marines are probably going to be the ones that they're not as strong as...
Right.
As they should be.
Yeah, because, I completely agree. There's aspects of the game where it makes sense. Named characters usually are super strong and usually do well, but at the same time, you're never going to see Abaddon die to, a horde of, Termagants.
Exactly. Yeah.
But on the tabletop, that can happen.
Mm-hmm. You could also always take it that being knocked out or getting your wounds taken away doesn't necessarily mean that person dies. If you're playing in a campaign, especially in Kill Team, I think if you die, at the end of the game, you roll off to see if they continue on, which kind of makes sense. Kind of like in Star Wars, the old Star Wars Battlefront, when you played a Jedi, your health would go all the way down. He wouldn't really die. He would just kind of kneel and disappear. I feel like that's what you should think of when you're playing a named character Abaddon or whatever.
Right. Especially, it makes more sense if you're playing Chaos, because it could just be they went back into the warp, or if they're in Terminator armor, they got teleported back. It's a little bit harder for other races. But anyway, there's always lore that you can work around it.
How do you feel about your Tau? Because I feel the Tau are one of those races that's
whenever you get a new codex, obviously it's supposed to be intriguing. It's meant to make you buy it. So of course, power creep's going to be a thing. There's going to be balance changes. However, I didn't feel that way with this new codex. So the representation that they put into this codex for this edition, I feel makes sense, except the whole commander thing. On the battlefield, you hear about multiple commanders leading the army at once. However, there's a limitation in the game. Another thing too, though, is...
That's pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. Another thing, too, is Fire Warrior weaponry. It's really good. The basic Tau gun, the Pulse Rifle, I believe, Pulse Rifle. Strength 5, but it's a lower AP. I think that makes sense, and the whole aspect of the Tau not being good in close combat works perfect. However, they're a young race. They're all about technology and stuff, and it works well to a point, but I feel I don't know, I feel they're not being 100%, they're not being done justice.
I feel that way with Farsight. Whenever you play Farsight, he's good. Or, when you play the Enclaves, they're good, but
right.
I feel because they're rebellious and because they're more, rough and tough, they should be better, but they're not.
Right.
Good question, though.
Yeah. I mean, we could go into a whole bunch of other avenues, but, let's move on to the next.
Yeah. Next question comes from Darth Parkus. Would Bender from Futurama survive in 40k? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He would be a Man of Iron, but he would be smart enough not to get caught up.
I think he'd still be his like goofy, not giving a damn self.
Yeah.
But he'll just have that little like Imperial insignia, so they won't mess with him.
What year is Futurama set in? Do you know?
Isn't it like 1,000 years into the future? Because isn't that how long Fry got frozen for?
Oh yeah. So then that means that Futurama is set in the Dark Age of Technology, and he would be a Man of Iron then. That's crazy. Sticking with the Men of Iron, Marcel Goussard asks, how did UR025 survive for 13,000 years?
Easy, he had that little Imperial insignia. But no, it said that he was using, somehow he got information of who like the top brass of the AdMech were, and he was just saying that he was given orders by them to basically do whatever he needs to do.
And nobody questioned it.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, they're the ones giving the orders, I don't want to mess with them.
Yeah, but if you checked out our latest episode or video on the Men of Iron, a lot of machines were caged.
Yeah.
Which is what, underneath the Himalayan mountains, they have like those Emperor, the Emperor has like a bunch of, what are they called? The vaults or whatever, the black vaults or whatever. Some Men of Iron were stored in there and they got out. So.
Which, wasn't that, were they being like guarded by Adeptus Custodes?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's another way that other Men of Iron have survived. They've actually been caged up and then now released.
Right, and since they're like robots, they don't really need sustenance.
Yep.
Yeah. Also, what was I gonna say? Dang, I forgot it. Never mind.
Well, the Dark Mechanicus too. I don't know if you were going to talk about the Silica Animus.
No, but that is a good point though.
Yeah, because a lot of it is like the Dark Mechanicus finds STCs and then they're like, oh, we can create this robot, and they create the robot with the same AI, and it's kind of like turning on and turning off a computer. Like, if you go to your old computer from, like, back when you were in college, it's still the same setup, right?
Right.
So the same thing with the robot. Like, the STC builds this creature, and then it's like, well, this is the creature from back then, so is it the same one?
Right.
I don't know.
I had a good point, but I can't remember it. Anyway, let's go on to John Vargas Feliz. Feliz Navidad. Which X-Men or mutant from Marvel can survive in the 40k universe? Easily the Dark Phoenix. Whether it's taking over Jean Grey, Cyclops, whoever it is such a powerful force that it's essentially, I'm going to say it's probably on the same level as like a Catan.
Yeah.
Because it's that powerful, you can feel it from outer space, like coming to the planet. And literally it takes almost all the Marvel superheroes to kind of keep it in check. If it dies, it comes back. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how do you think that the powers from the Dark Phoenix would come from the warp, though?
No, I feel like it'd be its own thing.
Its own thing?
Yeah.
If that case, then I think, like, Nightcrawler would be pretty good, because he's going into a completely different dimension that's not the warp.
Right.
He's going into...
He goes into, like, hell.
Hell or something like that. So, yeah, I think he would survive, but he would survive as a Xenos. Probably even like a mercenary for some Tau Empire or something.
I could see that happening.
Not in the Imperium, of course, but yeah.
Deadpool for sure. I mean, dude can't die.
Yeah.
There's already fan art of him in, Space Marine armor.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot. Yeah. Cable, travel like into the past and future and whatnot.
Did you like him in the Deadpool 2?
Yes and no. I think they got his look down perfectly. They got his... I feel like his motivation wasn't, like, strong enough. Like, yeah, his family died and everything, but, like, that could have easily been changed. Like, he can go into the past. Just, like, go further into the past. Kill Russell before he was even born or something.
Yeah.
Instead of going through all this motions. But, I mean, you gotta make a movie, so... Time travel is always iffy. X-Men Days of Future Past. That was a good movie, but the whole time travel thing, I don't know.
I saw that movie again a couple days ago. I really liked it. But yeah, time travel's crazy.
Yeah. Which there's time travel in 40k.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they do a good job of saying it's illegal and it's not controllable. Whereas like every other sci-fi thing, there's a sense of control to it.
Right.
But there's no control when you time travel in 40k.
Yeah, I feel like the whole time travel aspect in 40k isn't used a lot, which is good. Because that's going to like do a lot of continuity errors.
Yep.
Like if you can go into the past... Why not just go into the past, like...
To change something.
Change the Horus Heresy, bring one of the Primarchs to the Loyalist side.
But the cool thing about that is that like let's say a ship goes into the warp and comes out back during the Horus Heresy era, you would think, well, wouldn't their presence in 30k completely change 40k? No, because they didn't know that it was going to happen. That might have already been predestined to happen.
Yeah.
Which I really like.
Yeah, because it's like it has something to do with there's one Necron Cryptek that literally is like, I think he's like a chrono mage or something like that. He literally goes into the past to change things to his favor, but no matter what, the end result is always the same.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's like you could kill this space marine here, but then another captain is then sent there and kills this guy, which was going to happen whether this guy died or not.
Right.
It's crazy.
So they have no free will in 40k.
I feel like that meme with Charlie Sheen and he's like explaining everything. Yeah.
I like that. Next question comes from Niquilio Rafael Ruiz. I feel like I could pronounce that name better. How accurate is One Mind Syndicate? Well, we have a YouTube channel, so we're 100% accurate. You can't do it. No, but we're probably, I would say, 60% lore accurate, 40% bullshit.
That's already 100 GURPS. 5%.
Yeah.
Sandwiches.
Now, if you check out our 40 facts, though, if it's a 40 facts where we're reading from the codexes, we're 100% accurate because that's what the codex is saying.
However, things do get retconned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then when we do create videos like the ones that are a little longer, like the horrible realities, the life of, or the daily life, that's like a lot of that is like our speculation of what reality would be in the 40k universe. As far as these greater WAAAGH episodes, I would say 60-40 on a good day.
On a good day.
On a bad day, it would be like,
don't even.
yeah.
It's like we're conspiracy theorists.
Yeah.
Put our little like tin hats on.
Magnus did nothing wrong. Last question, what you got?
This one is, yeah, we'll go with this one.
Okay.
This one's by Shinku Kiritu Ichika. What would happen if Angron was never found, or the Emperor arrived too late to meet Angron for the first time? What would happen to the pre-World Eater Warhounds? So this is just a question that like I feel like can go either way. Like it doesn't even have to be Angron. Like what happened if you never discovered what are the Primarchs? Which again, if we're talking about the whole time travel thing, will it really make a difference? Because like if you find him or not, I mean, a Primarch's a huge deal. He's a super commander that can literally change the tide of war.
Yeah.
So if you didn't find Angron, it's going to make a huge difference because now you don't have anybody to do the whole butcher's nails. The Warhounds don't become the World Eaters. They don't fall to chaos. Or maybe they do, it's just a different way.
Right.
So again, it could go many different ways, but I feel like what ended up happening, the way the lore was written, made perfect sense because the Emperor saw it as he's saving his son from death.
Right.
Angron saw it as he's being taken away from his comrades, the gladiators, letting them die, ultimately putting everything he fought for, everything he lived for, everything he knew, out of the picture.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, he's meant for like a greater purpose, but at the same time, like, he knew nothing of that before. His life, his entire existence was on that planet, and now it's gone.
Yeah, that's true. Now, were the Warhounds like aggressive by nature? Yeah, they were, right?
Yeah.
So I think if
you don't get the name Warhounds for being peaceful.
If you get rid of Angron, and Angron would have never been found, I think the gene seed of the Warhounds would have continued, and it would have been like the Lost Primarchs, where it speculatively became part of the Ultramarines.
Speculatively.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, their numbers did grow tremendously.
After that. So I think that's what would end up happening, and you would have Ultramarine chapters that are like extremely aggressive. And then Angron would have just been empty. His plinth would be empty and...
Plinth.
But yeah. Like you said, though, inevitably I think the Warhounds would have still gone to chaos. Because it's the whole time travel thing that we were talking about.
Yeah. The events are already predestined, which is why Zeech is like always tinkering, always has plans, but at the end of the day, the result's always the same.
Right, yep.
Or is it?
Those were the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, comment down below.
As always, let us know what epicness you guys have in the comments by thumbsing it up and letting us see it. So, because that question that we had at the first one was pretty good.
Yep.
Only one thumbs up.
So read through all the questions if you want.
Yeah.
See you guys tomorrow.
This is Sound Alchemist.
Gershwin!
And we are out of here.
Oh, if you took up my freedom.